So how much will drivers have to pay to drop a passenger off at Luton Airport? It's £1.
You're watching The Right Stuff live on 5 this Wednesday morning. Yasmin Ali-Brown, Terry Christian and special guest Neighbours star Kym Valentine. But first, we're going to look at the headlines with you, Kym.
Hi.
An Australian doing the British headlines.
Thank you very much, yes. Know so much about them.
How long have you been over here for?
3 days.
Right, OK.
Yes.
OK.
3 days. This is my 37th interview.
So...
It's good to talk about something other than me.
Good.
So here we go. In The Sun we have a shameless mother stays put at her house on the day her sons, aged 10 and 11, appeared in court charged with the alleged attempted murder of 2 young boys. Yeah. And the most disturbing thing about this is the sign she has out the front of her house saying, "Beware of the kids."
Yeah, all of a sudden, what I guess was supposed to be a joke really isn't
Not so
very
funny
anymore.
Not so funny. So that,
I mean,
yeah.
her attitude, I mean, the son is right over the mum all the time. I mean, because we don't know any of the situation or the circumstances, you know, children had been taken into care and had been passed on to foster parents. Quite possibly, if a mother can't cope, that's the thing that social workers want to happen. That's the right thing to do. So I don't know whether vilifying her is doing anybody any favours.
Yeah, that's right.
OK.
Next we have the Daily Express. The headline is "Alarming Rise in Skin Cancer."
This must be something you must know a bit
Something we
about.
know, yeah, in Australia, absolutely. But
Do you
in
have
Britain,
sunbeds?
We do, yeah. We have that scorching sun, yet people still go into sunbeds back home.
That's bizarre.
It's becoming less and less popular.
What about over here? What do they
Britain's sunbed generation is fueling a skin cancer crisis by binge tanning. Binge drinking and binge tanning. Health experts warned last night the deadliest form of the disease is now the most common cancer in women in their 20s.
I don't know why we just don't ban these stupid machines.
Because I guess not everybody goes on twice a day, as some people do. That, you know, that I guess if they're used sensibly, the risks are low. But I mean, there are people, they're quoting examples in some of the papers today of women who go on twice a day.
Well, and all the places which have them make a lot of money on them. So they're not going to stop anybody. It costs about 40 quid a time in some places. And people are spending that kind of money. I think we should just get rid of them.
Still look beautiful.
I don't think they do. I really don't think they do.
I would tan
They look like toast.
Because I'm too fair-skinned, but I did have some spray tan once,
Did you?
for doing some filming, and I did think I looked great.
Did you have to wear the paper underwear?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you still got it on?
And I was like, I kept looking, oh, wow. Bit David Dickinson, but who cares?
At least it's safe. At least it's safe. So beware if you use sunbeds again, folks. OK. Anything else?
OK, so we have, again in The Sun, a girl found alive. A 20-year-old woman was pulled out alive yesterday after 42 hours buried beneath the rubble of the Italian earthquake.
It's extraordinary.
Apparently she was saved by a pillar. A pillar that she was trapped under shielded her from debris.
I mean, I saw the footage of her being brought out, and I mean, she's clearly, you know, her body's fairly battered from the experience. And I just think, well, it must go through your head. I mean, if you try and imagine, I don't know if you can imagine what it must be like, 42 hours, but it's, there we go, this is her coming out now. It does make you, it really does make you wonder. It's a terrible story, terrible story. OK, that's the earthquake in Italy. And,
All right, and then we have the Daily Telegraph. A £1 fee to kiss and drop at airport. Luton Airport is to become the first in Britain to charge for dropping passengers off at the terminal.
That's a bit mean-spirited.
But you know what? I saw on the news today all of your counterfeit £1 coins.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
you know,
Just give them one of those.
Give them one of those and
I like your
have
thinking.
a quick snog.
Nicely done, Kym. Thank you. What have you got, Terry?
Right, well, this is one that's going to run and run. There's loads and loads of photos in The Guardian of, well, the G20 protester. He's
Well,
not
he wasn't a protester,
Well, he wasn't a
was a
protester.
newspaper
He was a newspaper seller trying to get home, and he collapsed. And, well, here you can see the police allegedly pushing him. And he fell over, and then, of course...
We've actually got some footage we can show of the moment.
41 seconds.
So the guy's just walking along, hands in his pockets, doing no harm to anybody, when he appears to be pushed, allegedly, by a police officer for no reason whatsoever. At that time, he's arguing back, or saying, you know, quite understandably, what's happened, you know, I mean, he appears not to know what's gone on. He gets up, He walks a few steps, and then off camera he collapses, and then the police do rush to his aid. I mean, that's very clear. All I can say about this is if people have been watching the show since last week, is I was telling you about reports I was getting from people that I knew that were inside, and their stories of what the police were doing didn't make very cheery listening.
And
really.
and the police were spinning because immediately afterwards they said they spun a complete lie about what this. You know,
nobody
it was a
touched
lie,
him.
a set of lies, and they never seem to be held to account on this. You know.
Well, I mean, it's only allegations. Again, we have to be very careful
that
what we
they
say.
lied is not an allegation because they spun a story which has no bearing on whatever happened here. We will find out. But to say that he was a protester and the protesters were going for them, and there were bottles being hurled,
Yeah, it doesn't appear
all
to be.
lies, actually. Come and arrest me.
I mean, that whole kettling thing, you know, where they stop people, you know, you can't go to the loo, you can't move, and you get all pushed together and crushed together by the police. That, in a way, is inciting trouble.
And people trying to take photographs of what the police were doing, having their cameras confiscated under the Terrorism Act. And all the people that watch this show saying, if you haven't done anything wrong, you've got nothing to fear, I'll say to you again, if you give people an inch, they'll take a mile. Beware of surrendering your civil liberties.
Beware. Well, hard fought for civil liberties. This is an interesting one. 4-year-olds too young for school. Now, this has been said for years, because in a lot of Scandinavian countries, they don't even actually start trying to teach kids to read until they're like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And 7, really, when they start going to school full time. And that's because, you know, anyone who's got kids, you'll know that some kids walk when they're 1, some don't really walk till they're 18 months old, some are talking by the time they're like 11 months old, some don't bother talking till they're 18 months old. And so the way they develop is very different at that age. And if you try and teach a kid who's 4 or 5 to read, and he's not quite wired up for it, that kid will end up thinking he's stupid, and so end up failing.
But it's also true to say, I believe, that in the Netherlands, they get them to school at 4, and they're all excelling, and they are the happiest children on God's earth, according to the United Nations reports. So I don't actually know what to make of it, whether 4 is too young, or 6 is the right... What do they do down under?
Well, we start school, my daughter started school this year, and she's 5.
5.
But they go to kinder before they
Yeah.
start school, and it's a part-time thing, so it prepares them. They do a couple of hours a day. So then by the time they go and they start prep, which is the first year of school, they're adjusted.
What I found interesting was I really struggled to read and write until just suddenly when I was a 7, the penny just dropped like that, and I went from being, you know, one of the dim kids to being kind of top of the class. But it was like, almost like I just couldn't quite grasp. Mind you, I might have just been a bit slow, you know, but...
What do you think, Terry, is the right thing? Is 4 too young to start sort of, you know, doing...
I think maybe it is in some ways, but, you know, the pressure is always to get the mums out to work nowadays, isn't it? Wow. Get the kids off the hands.
But we don't have the wonderful childcare arrangements they have in the Scandinavian countries. We just don't. And therefore we're completely
As we say
caught.
as well, all the incredibly high taxes that pay for them, although I would imagine after the next general election we might get those.
And we won't get the childcare.
Exactly, we won't get the childcare.
Well, it is because, you know, this is a problem. You know, we pay a lot of taxes, we don't actually see much for it nowadays. No. Be different when the socialists get in, won't it? Well, no, they aren't. Apparently. Right, and then it's another frightening. This has happened though for a while. This is a story about teachers being followed home and intimidated by problem pupils. I can't say that it didn't happen in my day. I mean, I do remember.
Really?
Oh yeah. Well, certain schools you can expel, and then you get the kind of bottom rung of the ladder school where all the kids have been expelled end up at, and that's happened. Yeah, I see you out of school, especially, you know, when kids are 15 and 16 and quite frightening. And often the teachers live in the same areas that the kids live in. And again, it's what do you do about it? I mean, it is frightening for a teacher. I mean, I've got a sister who's a teacher. I mean, you know, she was bossy with us. But I mean, she's like, what, 5'1". I was wondering what would she do if she was, you know,
It's the level of intimidation as well. I mean, you know, you don't actually have to be attacked to have your life sort of spoiled or ruined by it.
Well, it's just like phone calls at home.
What does a kid learn? You know, that the kid can behave as badly as they want. Nobody can tell them what to do.
And then, well, I suppose
some light relief, relief of sorts.
Well,